The real estate expert online radio show. The Jake and Cliff Show is on. Showing you how real estate investing can make your dreams, your future, your financial freedom, your reality. And now, your hosts, Jake and Cliff.
Hey everybody, this is Jake, and this is Real Estate Expert Radio Online, and we've got a lot to talk about today, so we'll get right to it. One of the things that I always point out that is special about this show, and will always be special, is that unlike other radio shows that do this, we have an actual real live real estate expert. And I'm going to introduce him right now, my friend, my pal, the guy I owe a lot of money to, so I have to say these good things about him, Cliff Gager. Cliff?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show today. I am very grateful to be here today. I really enjoy doing this show and sharing your expertise and my expertise and giving people an alternative to the high-priced real estate training that's available out there. I worked, with the gurus for many, many years, delivering my training to their clients, and it's just really great to be able to have this venue to be able to do this. And now that we're on the Gab satellite network, it's really awesome. So
I just got that as they were playing us in. It was like, I knew that we were on the GAB syndication network, but I was sitting here and I was going like this. I was going GAB, Gab. I get it! It's GAB! I get it! GAB! Darn those acronyms! Clever those acronyms they are.
I know. But it's really exciting to be able to do this, and I just wanted to put it out there. Thank you to our fans, thank you to our listeners, thank you to everybody out there that makes this possible.
Thank you to our producers and.
Yeah, this is really cool. So if you're listening on the radio, whether you're listening on, the Gab network, if you're listening on Tiki Live or Spreaker or TuneIn or iHeartRadio, my goodness, CNBC, this is just awesome. I'm really, really, really excited about it. So anyways, let's get to the show.
And I want to do that. But I have to talk first, because if I don't get a word in edgewise, I'll just be sitting here for the entire show. And there are shows that are like that, where I have a good friend who's on radio, and all she does is she just says, okay, now let's talk about this, and then she keeps quiet for the next 20 minutes while the guy talks about it. But one of the things, Cliff, that you and I talk, and we talk during the week about some of these things, because we're kind of on a mission here. And one of the things is that we want to provide training. We don't want to provide fluff. Every show that we have, we want to provide training of some sort. And this is so important because we've talked before, you and I, and we've talked on the show about fear. And another problem is lack of knowledge. And I'm going to just elaborate on this just a little bit, which is something more that we do in our events. But I know about this because I used to be exactly like this. As far as real estate education is concerned, as a consumer, I've been in real estate education since 1981. And in 1981, I was so broke. Cliff, I had a wife, I was raising kids, I was holding down a series of jobs that I knew, this was before I got into law and consulting, that I could barely sustain life, held zero promise as far as being able to save any money, do the things that we're told from our youth that we should do. And to top it off, I had a crappy car. Yeah, the whole bit. And I was so poor, Cliff. You're supposed to say something here.
How poor were you?
I was so poor I couldn't even afford to pay attention.
And if it took $25 to go around the world, you couldn't make it down to the end of the block?
I couldn't make it down to the end of the block. So I was just in this tender condition that I found myself in, I was just as susceptible to the next guy to some seminar coming into town that came along promising, wealth and riches and stuff like that. Well, to make a long story short, I embarked on a series that went on for a long time of attending these seminars. And one of the reasons that it took a long time, well, there were two. First, I knew they were going to hit me up for some product that I couldn't afford, but I thought, well, if I can just attend the first day, maybe get into the second day, and these things, as you know, Cliff, are usually held either on Fridays or Saturdays, or Saturdays and Sundays. And every once in a while, you have one that starts on Friday and it goes through till Sunday. And I thought, maybe I could pick up a thing or two that I could use, because I knew that at the time, young family, I couldn't pay for any of these products. Finally, some years later, I was able to purchase some of these products. And what I found out when I purchased them is that there were some things in there. Oh, and I even won one once at a drawing, which was pretty cool. And I read it like my life depended on it. But what I found was that there were general principles in there. They would talk about, this one guy talked about leveraging, in order to get the money to buy properties and things like that. But there wasn't anything, long story short, I could go into specifics, but there wasn't really anything that I felt could get me from point A to point B, which was my own personal financial revolution, which is what we talk about here too. And this is a pattern, Cliff, that I found continued. It was always the same. There was always something left out, something I didn't understand, and I had no leeway, Cliff, none. In my condition, I had no leeway for making any mistakes. I had to have everything right, and I knew that these products weren't giving me that. So to all of you out there who are listening, I want you to know I've felt the desperation of that situation. I've been there. And what does that come from? It comes from a lack of knowledge, because what I didn't realize, what I was hoping against hope, was that very often the people who would get up on the stage at the events, they don't know anything about real estate. They don't know anything but maybe what they're told. And they're basically just giving you a sales pitch. And this is why what we do, Cliff, is so important to me, because like I said, I feel like I'm kind of on a mission here. It's so important to me because knowledge is the key. What do we talk about in one of our advertisements? You've got to have knowledge, and you've got to take what kind of risks? Calculated
risks.
Not just some stupid fly off the handle, go for broke, last dime in my pocket type of risk. They've got to be calculated. And what's the calculation? It's based on the knowledge that you accrue, the knowledge that you have. And these things weren't given to me, and I felt desperate. I felt, how am I ever going to do this? That
Jake,
is why it is so important.
Jake,
yes,
it's by design.
Wait a minute. Hold it. This is like Gab. I think I'm just getting this. You mean that they purposely withhold this information?
Well,
Cliff, how can this be? How can this be possible?
It's you said something that made me laugh inside, and you said that you went to a lot of seminars.
I did.
And what you got to realize, and I know some of the people in the audience that's listening right now, they're going to resonate. This is going to resonate with them.
Oh, that's why I said it, because I want them to know that I'm just like that.
If you go to enough of these seminars, you're going to hear the same stories that the speakers are telling because they share the stories. It's a script. It's a every weekend they do the same thing over and over and over and over. Just go watch them. And that's why whenever I do a live presentation, I tell new things each and every time. And the reason is because, well, some of my strategies we tell over and over and again because they work. But if I'm trying to convince you to buy a $50,000 or $40,000 program, if I tell you the truth that you're not going to make $100,000 on your first flip, by the odds. I mean, can it happen? Yes. Is it likely? Well, it's possible, but it's not something that everybody's going to be able to go out there and do that. So I go back to my synopsis of when you walk into the casino, and you see all of these, I hit this jackpot, I hit that jackpot, I hit this jackpot. They're not going to tell you about, oh, Cliff went in there and dropped $5,000 in the slot machine this weekend. You know, and he didn't win anything. They're not going to tell you that. So I like to tell the stories of the reality. And the reality is with the right knowledge, with the right experience, with anything that you look at, you're looking at doing it with knowledge. Knowledge is power. We've heard that before. And I kind of go in a little circle here, but, you know, hey, it is a circle, the circle of life, you know, all of that stuff. And, you know, Jake, if you just go to enough of them, you're going to see the same stories, and that's why we're doing this. We're doing this to get away from that. And
right, and we know this, and I speak not facetiously, but I speak as if I didn't know, but I do know because this is in my past. But this is what happens, and so knowledge is the key thing, and knowledge is what I went to those events to try to get. More fool I. But this is the key thing. It's so important, and that's why it is so important and so impressive to me that we actually have a real live real estate expert here. And we'll be getting, after the break, we'll be getting into some of these things, and we've got topics. But I wanted to point this out because people come on the show, they may be listening, they may come in the middle of things, they may not get it. And so I feel the need to repeat some of these things.
Okay.
So anyway.
Well, let's take a break, and when we come back from the break, let's talk about something really exciting.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
All right.
You're listening to the Real Estate Expert Online Radio Show. To start your own personal financial revolution, call 1-800-396-1501 or visit realestateexpertonline.com. Jake and Cliff will be right back.
Do you have a great idea for a radio show but have no idea where to start? Or have you been hosting a podcast for a while and want to take it to the next level? If so, you need the Gab Radio Network. To host a show on the Gab Radio Network, all you need is your voice, and we'll handle the rest. From technical engineering to full-service audio production and much more. Every show on the Gab Radio Network can be heard on our station on the TuneIn Radio app. Plus, we put all of our shows on our satellite, which is accessed by over 5,500 stations. And here's the best part. You can host from anywhere you want. There are many means to connect to the Gab Radio Network remotely, and our staff of highly trained engineers and producers will make you sound like you're right here in studio. So, if you want to be on the Gab Radio Network, the same network that hosts the Small Business Advocate, Radio MD, and the Federalist, send an email right now to sales@gabradionetwork.com. That's sales@gabradionetwork.com.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Expert Online Radio Show with Jake and Cliff. Your personal financial revolution for financial independence continues.
Okay, and we're back. And Cliff, we have some. I'm glad to know that. So we have some exciting things to talk about on the show, and I could keep talking, but I feel sated. I feel satisfied to a certain extent. I can stop talking, and you go ahead, and because I know we have things to talk about on the show today aside from what I'm talking about. So why don't you go ahead?
Well, I just wanted to talk today about the number one thing that I've seen over the last 2 weeks with my coaching students, and what is stopping them from actually putting things together. And, you know, one of the, I asked all my students, I says, hey, and I think I even posted on Facebook, you know, what's the number one thing stopping you? And it came back time and time again. And I think we talked about that last week as to, you know, funding and finding deals and all of that. And nobody, even me, after I talked about it, I realized that that's not the problems of what is stopping people from putting deals together. And it all goes back to, and I hate to use the cliche of taking action or putting yourself out there, or putting the pedal to the metal, or what is it, putting the rubber to the pavement. All of those things, they're true, but it's getting up in the morning and doing what it takes to put an offer on the table. The only way that you're going to get pieces of property to be available to you at the prices that we can pick up these houses for. And it's funny because I look at there was 2 students that I was working with this week, and they said they couldn't find property in their area. And they're being told that you just can't do this here because you can't buy property that cheap. So I went on public records, and I searched public records, not to prove myself right and to prove them wrong, but just to show them and educate them that within a 30-day period, there were 2 houses in the one location. I looked up this one, and there was 2 houses, and the price point on the houses was $375, and these 2 houses one went just over $200, and the other one just went under $200,000 in Southern California. And they say in Southern California you can't get cheap houses. And I don't mean cheap houses, I mean bargain houses. I mean houses that you can get at a discount. Houses that when you buy them, you have the room to do the repairs. So, and it made me think of an idea, and I haven't shared with you on this idea that I had, but I think it's something really exciting, and I think all the listeners can really, if you're sitting on the fence and you're doubting that you can put deals together, I want to put my money where my mouth is, and Jake's I'm probably gonna have to mute your microphone. I could see the concern on Jake's face because we're watching it on Tiki Live, and but I'm just gonna drop a big bomb here. I want everybody to be successful, and what I came up with this morning as I was thinking about my students who know better and aren't doing it. So I wanted to make a little contest, and Jake and I we have a coaching program, and it's let's see, times that and plus that. It's about almost a $4,000 coaching program that we offer to students, which would equate to getting private coaching that's like $20,000 if you were to go to the gurus. And I do it at a lower price because I love doing this and I like participating in your guys' deals. So I'm thinking of, if you go to realestateexpertonline.com and you go and you watch my training program, it's a real short lesson on how to find properties. And I sell my 13-week program at the end of my presentation and the training. So what I want you to do is anybody that buys the program today, let's say, and if you're listening...
Oh, no. Are you about to... Oh, Cliff, say it is not so.
Oh, well, wait, listen. So,
oh, my goodness.
The contest is this, is if you buy the training program, it takes about 13 weeks to go through all the lessons. It doesn't take that long to start putting offers in.
That's right.
It doesn't take that long to put deals together. It just takes that long because we cover corporate structure. We cover how to hold title. We cover how to find the money. We cover a lot of things in there, and I just didn't want to dump the whole program on somebody in one weekend, which is what the gurus try to do, and that's why they walk out. The people walk out of the training like zombies because they have no idea what to do now. So I designed my training, the actual real estate training that I have online, to cater to you so that you can go out and put these things together. So here's my contest. I'm going to say that anybody that buys the program within the next 24 hours is going to be entered into a contest. And the first person that puts together their very first deal using my strategies and techniques, I'm going to give you that coaching program for free. And it's a handheld coaching program that Jake and I will take you by the hand. Jake handles all the legal aspects. I handle all the real estate aspects. And for 1 year, we're going to walk you through step by step on all of your deals whenever you have questions. And that is something that you never see or hear about out there in guru land. I hate to say gurus, but you know, the seminar people, the ones you see on TV that offer training programs that some of you may or may not have experienced. But this is all the missing pieces. This is all the stuff that you need to put these together. So I'm confident that if you go and you buy this really, really reasonable program and you do it within the next 24 hours, I'm going to, after the show, put up a time clock, Jake, for the 24-hour period. And if they do it within that 24-hour period, we'll know that they bought within that period, and they will be entered into the program to win the Big Kahuna training program. And, you know, I think that if you just go out, it's going to be a race. I think people are going to be really excited to put these deals together, and they're going to have to meet a little bit of criteria. You got to make sure you put the offers in like we show you, and you got to make sure that the deal has the spread and it's realistic, which you'll know what a real deal is because the training teaches you that. So,
yeah, you know, and the interesting thing is the stuff that you're just talking about initially and the stuff that you talk about in the webinar is stuff that I was never told in any of these packages. I never had it explained to me how to submit an offer. And like I said, the thing that was so crucial about this is that for the sake of argument, if I was going to do something like that at that point in time in my life, I couldn't make a mistake. And the seminar guys blew into town on Friday. They left on Sunday, and I was all alone, and I had no one to talk to. And I had no one. I had no one, Cliff.
Right. And see, that's why I know my training is good, because I've got tons I've got a file cabinet full of people that say, "Oh my God, this was the best out of all the training I paid for." And you know, I should like take pictures of each one. I didn't get them on video, like you see a lot of video stuff, but it would be enough for somebody to read all day long of just I learned this, I learned that, and now I did this, I did that, and you know, Cliff really made it understandable to where I could actually do it. I've got that, but I know that with my help, and I'm not just bragging that I'm great and I'm superstar and all that. I've done it. I've been there. I've seen it. We did an event in Chicago one time, and it was called Stump Cliff. Bring your real estate question to me. And nobody stumped me because I left there, Jake, and I was actually amazed that I was like, holy cramoly, I know more than I thought I did.
I know. I kind of know how you feel. It's the same with me in my own particular area of expertise. I'm surprised that people, they don't even ask me hard questions. Yet these are things that they don't know. And I think, boy, the level of knowledge, it's so low. I mean, these people are so desperate that they don't even know how to do this. And that speaks to the state of education, which of course
it really does.
It's what we're talking about.
It really does. And you know, with all of the people out there that have taken these courses, and I love watching the internet and the marketing and stuff that's out there. And it's like, this guy did this with nothing. And then when you really get into it, because you know, I look at everybody else's stuff. I want to know what I need to deliver to make it the best. And I see the same thing. It's just like what you said earlier today. You went to all these seminars and you heard the guy talk, and he said a whole bunch of stuff that was really, oh my God, that's really difficult to understand and amazing. I can do this. And you go out the door and you're like, where do I start? What do I do? Wait, there's something missing. I don't want to be that I am the missing link.
We always go back. You are the missing link, but not that could be misconstrued. We're saying that in the most positive way. Cliff is the missing link. It's just like I go back to that one student that called us frantic. He was really frantic.
Yeah.
He had purchased the program and he said, I can't wait for this. I've got to do this now. And I was a little concerned, and I thought, well, it'll be interesting to see how we handle this. And Cliff said, have you submitted an offer yet?
Yeah.
And it was just like crickets on the other side of the phone. Crickets. Yeah. Because it never occurred to him in all his frenzy that he could start submitting offers right away. What does this say about the state of real estate education? That these people are selling these products that cost so much money, but their people don't even understand that nothing happens until you submit an offer. Yep. And is that hard? Is that simple? Do you need a degree in real estate? Do you need a real estate license to do that? No, you don't.
No.
You just start doing it.
Well,
And these are the kinds of things. These are the kinds of things that you do. You show people how to submit an offer. Yeah. You don't just say, okay, you submit your offer and then we go here. You actually break it down, and not only do you do that, but you show them how to submit it in a way that puts you in control.
Because, a lot of the people that come into this realm and they see the TV shows and they see the person flipping the house, and they really don't show the steps involved. How did that person have that other guy out there that makes the phone call and says, hey, I think I got something for you. And then, they drive over in their expensive car, and then they look at the
trophy wife.
I wasn't going to go there, but and then they walk around the
house. Or trophy husband.
Yeah, exactly.
We're equal opportunity here. It's all right.
Exactly. Not gender specific.
No.
So what happens, they walk around the house and instantly they know, we can make $1,000, $10,000, $20,000, $40,000 profit on this deal. And then they call up the guy and they start hammering him on the phone. I will tell you right now, you will never hammer a deal on the phone because it is so easy to say, oh no, we're not interested, and hang up the phone. But when you put it in writing and you make it a legitimate offer and you show you have the wherewithal to do things and you have the money in the bank ready to go, even if you don't, I show you how to do that. It is something that they can't say no to easily because it puts a reality into it of, if you call me up on the phone and says, hey, Jake, or hey, Cliff, I'll give you $500 for that $10,000 thing you're selling, I could tell you to pound sand. But if you write it on paper, now I'm going to negotiate with you. And that's the lost art. In fact, we talked about it on one of the previous shows, the lost art of negotiating. Nobody negotiates. Everybody writes the contract price for contract price, what the asking price is, or higher. Because they don't know how to negotiate. They think by throwing money at it, if you want it, there's a meme. It says, shut up and take my money. And it's a guy from one of the cartoons throwing money at somebody. And they think that's the solution. And guys, that's not the solution. One of the things, whether you like the person or not, he's a good negotiator, whether you like him or not. He wrote books on it, and he built a business on it. And I used to look at a lot of the strategies that he would talk about is the negotiations part. And I'm trying not to say his name. I think everybody knows who I'm talking about.
Well, I certainly do, but we don't.
Right, but he built an empire from negotiating deals. Now, whether it's negotiating on the front, whether it's negotiating on the back, it's not like the TV shows where the contractor's coming back to get his check and his tools are inside and you keep his tools because you want to pay him less than the original agreement. I've seen that on TV shows, and you can't do that. But when you put together the right things at the right time and you construct everything to where everybody wins, it's hard to say no, but it's not done over the telephone. So when you watch the show and then in 30 minutes they flip the house. I mean, come on, think about it. They do all the rehab. So you have to understand that when you watch a show on TV, that the start to finish process isn't 30 minutes or an hour. And it didn't take 5 minutes to get a phone call from somebody that you don't know. You have to build that. And that's why my program teaches you all those things, how to get those people on your team, how to get that person to call you up and says, hey, I think I've got a deal. But I think if you go to realestateexpertonline.com, you watch my little training program there, and at the end, you buy my program. It's very reasonable, guys. I mean, I make it a lot of people are like skeptical. Oh my God, it's too cheap. Well, it's designed to be inexpensive.
Well, and this is the thing, by the way, when I first met you,
yeah,
and we met at AREA, as you recall, a Real Estate Investors Association, I saw what was in the program.
Yep.
And to me, that program was worth $20,000 cold, right there.
I designed it after.
And folks, this is no fooling. I looked at this and I thought, oh my goodness, this has everything in it. It has everything in it, because in the presentation you do, the last couple of PowerPoint slides, you list everything that's in it. And everything, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the radio audience and the podcasting audience, it has everything in it. Everything that you need to become a real estate, and you know, actually what it is, I should probably catch myself and say, it's about your own personal financial independence. It's about your own personal financial revolution. It's about not realizing that you're in the situation, probably, or a variation thereof, that I was in, desperate, go nowhere job, no future, had to do something, had a wife, had kids, so on and so forth, had to do something. You're probably in that situation, and that probably weighs as heavy on your mind as it does on mine. And then to go to one of these seminars, it's really kind of a disappointment, and it's really anxiety producing as well.
Because you want to get the results.
You want to get the results. And that's why when we talk about knowledge, which is actually what we started out the show about, when you want to get knowledge and you purchase these things and you don't have the money to purchase them anyway, and then you find out that they don't have the things that really are going to help you, boy, talk about discouragement, talk about despair. What was that old hee-haw song? Gloom, despair, and agony on me. We ought to play that on the show. We might have to pay that. We have to check ASCAP and BMI for that. But that's, talk about gloom and despair. That's it. But so to have that knowledge,
you know what happens next? Then they go to another seminar. Said it in the beginning. I kept going because I was looking for that golden nugget. I thought
maybe I missed it on my bathroom break. Maybe that was it. Maybe I didn't come back from the restroom in time.
What about when you realize that they did teach that golden nugget, and now you hear on the radio or you hear another crew coming through with a different company and a different guru, and they're saying, "Oh, we're going to show you how to do this," and then you go to that and you're so excited you don't realize that you're going to hear the same thing. I don't know when the next crew that comes through is going to be the same thing or not, but I can tell you, I know that things are left out. They're left out for a reason. You got to understand that they want you to buy their $40,000 program.
Right. And I when I earlier in the show when I said that, I feigned surprise and shock. But this is the business model, and this is one of the reasons why we talk about fake training.
And you can see it on 2020 and 60 Minutes. You know, they're all the news investigative reporters are all going to these places, and they're breaking the news of, oh my God, it's the same story. There's missing pieces. And, you know, In my opinion, I believe that you want to do this and you want the training and you want all the pieces so that you can go out and do it. If you're desperate and you need the money to survive, go flip a house. If you're not desperate, but you're working in an industry that might be getting phased out, there's a lot, we talked about it, there's a lot of rocket scientists that don't have jobs anymore. And they're really, really smart with math. And when you realize how simple the math is in real estate, when you know the formulas that work, when you start putting those together, you can go out there and put deals together.
Well, and it's even better than that. You don't have to even do it longhand because we have a deal calculator that is part of the program that does it for you automatically. Simple. It's like magic. It's like magic.
I've had people tell me, Cliff, your thing is so simple, it's too easy to use. And I'm like, okay, well, when you get done with it, give me a call, and I'll give you some complex trigonometry and calculus formulas to work out if you feel like you need.
Right. Exactly.
It has nothing to do with real estate. But
break out the old science calculator
and the slide ruler. No, I mean, it's not rocket science. It's not difficult. And when you learn how to do this stuff, it makes it real easy. So if you want to do this on the weekends and you just want to supplement your retirement, because there's a lot of people that are coming up on retirement. Jake, there's a lot of people out there that don't have any money.
That's right.
They don't have any savings.
And many people, what were we talking about? Many people, I don't know what the percentage is, could not sustain a $500 emergency.
There's a lot of people that are 2 weeks away from being homeless.
Right.
And
because we're in the gig economy, see.
Yep.
It's once the gig goes away, things get bad really fast.
So everybody's looking for this instant thing. I'm not instant. But my goodness, if you go out, I've had students that have taken my training, even with the gurus. They would take my training with the gurus. I taught my stuff. I didn't teach anybody else's stuff. And I'd have people that would put deals together within days, of taking the training. So it's very simple. And I will have to say, in every market across the United States, in every type of market across the United States, I love when people tell me, oh, you can't do that in this market right now. I almost said a bad word. That's a bunch of stuff that you might step in out in the yard sometime, right? So what you got to understand is everybody will tell you what can and can't be done, and it's usually the people that can't do it, And if they can't do it, there's a reason why, and just find somebody else. Go to the next thing. But going back to my little contest, it's a almost a $4,000 program where you get to be able to run your deals past us, and we give you personalized coaching. Okay,
and it's really worth more than $4,000.
It's worth if the guru sold it, I know they sell it for $28,000. Right. Because I used to do it for them. Right. And they would say, Cliff, okay, we're going to charge $28,000 for this, and then you're going to do blank. And so I'm doing the same thing that I did with them for $28,000, but of course we sell it for $4,000. I'm going to give you that for free if you go and you buy the program, the 13-week program, and whoever is from today's date, whoever is the first to put together a real estate deal, I'm going to give you my $4,000 coaching program.
And that includes our syndicated audience too, by the way.
Yeah, and that's
everybody.
That's for everybody. And all you have to do is go to realestateexpertonline.com. Watch the training. I go through a complete training of how to put offers in. And it's if you're thinking it's just a webinar, it's not. It's a training class. It's a training one of my training modules out of the 13 weeks. So you'll actually learn how to put an offer in that gets results. And if you do that and you purchase my program, again, I give you 2 payment options. They're very, very reasonable. I mean, you can afford to do this. It's not even close to, oh my God, I got to get a loan or you might put it on your debit card instead of your credit card because you'll have the money to do this. It makes sense. Do the program. Whoever is the first to get a accepted contract on a piece of property, and you go to closing and you buy that property using my techniques, I'm going to give you that $4,000 program absolutely free.
Wow.
So it's a limited time, so you got to go do it right now. And I'm going to do it for today is well, it'll be I'll put a clock up. So if you see the clock, you made it in time to get within that 24-hour period. It'll actually be a timer counting down. Don't wait for the timer. Get started now. The sooner you start to put deals together, gives you more of an opportunity to win that $4,000 prize, which is, a $20-something thousand prize from somebody else. Anyways, that was my shower epiphany. I have some of my greatest epiphanies in the morning when it's really quiet and my brain has had time to rest. And I wake up in the morning and I have these really good ideas of how can I make your life better. Because I'll be honest, I've had a great life. Jake's had a great life. If I can make your life better and then you call me up and you tell me how great it was because I did something, that's, I can't buy that. I can't go pay somebody and say, hey, make me feel better. But just go out, put these things together. I came up with this this morning, and like I said, I dropped the bomb on Jake because I didn't even tell him I was going to do this.
No, you did not.
And it's just go put this together, put deals together, put money in your pocket. I can't promise that you're going to go out there and put deals together, but if you go out there and try, at least you get the opportunity to put deals together. And they're out there. Just like I said, I looked up on public records to that one location, and there was 2 houses that sold at least 60% of market value. 60% of market value, not off, but of, which would be, 40% off market value. And that's how you put these deals together. I remember my very first deal, Jake. I bought it, and I didn't have the money to do the deal. I was making money, but I wasn't making enough. I had the mortgage business going, and I was making money in the mortgage industry, and I was doing flips, financing, but I was just making money and paying bills, making money and paying bills. I never got ahead until I started flipping houses. And what happened was I put an offer on a deal, and I didn't have the money. I had some money to show, but it was really the money that I needed to spend on bills and stuff. But it was in the bank, so and actually it wasn't even my account. It was an account of a friend of mine that was a relative, and they let me use that show money. I called it show money at the time to show that I could close on the transaction. So when I made this offer, I didn't have the money and the time frame I figured I could come up with it, because I figured if they took this offer, I could put that together. So, excuse me. So when I presented the offer and they came back and they said, yeah, we'll take your offer, I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh no. I didn't tell them that, but I said to myself, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I don't have the money. And I went to the girl that I did all my closings with at the title company, and I says, I don't know what to do. I was expecting this to go a lot longer in the process to where I would have had I needed another 15 days, Jake, to get to the point where I had closings coming in, and I would have had it was $40,000.
Right.
And the house was worth $120,000.
Right.
So I never expected them to accept my $40,000 offer, and they did. But anyways, long story short, she was like, oh, why don't you sell it to one of the other investors? And I was like, well, that's great, but I don't know how because I don't have the 40 grand to buy it. I can't close on it and sell it. And she says, oh, honey, she says, don't worry about that. She says, you go out there. And I know. And I'm like, really? So she's like, don't worry about that. You don't need money. She says, we'll do a simultaneous back-to-back double closing. And I'm like, a what? Say, wait, what? And she says, you go sell it. And what we'll do, and this is back in 1992 or late 91. And she says, we'll do a double closing. And she says, you get the money to cover it on a non-refundable deposit on your contract. Have them make the full deposit for the sale, which your investors can do. And if they can't, you can get them the hard money loan to do it. And she says, and then we'll just close it inside a time bubble inside our office. And I was like, I didn't understand that. And really what the time bubble was is everything is recorded at the end of the day, Jake. So if they close their transaction before my transaction, but yet they hand the clerk at the recorder's office my transaction first, my transaction goes first.
Right.
So it's and there's more to it, and we get into that in the training, and there's a lot more to it because there's a lot of things you can't do today that you could do back then. But here's the cool thing. I went to my buyer and I says, hey, it's 65 grand. It's 40,000 non-refundable. You got to put it in the next couple days. He was like, sure, let's do this. So we went to closing. The money was all there. The 65 grand, I sold it to him for 65. I bought it for 40. It was worth 120. He sold it for 120. Actually, I sold it and did the financing for his client on it when that happened. But the cool thing is I walked out of there with $24,000. And what happened was I went in a room, signed paperwork to close on the deal from the bank. The title company slid that $40,000 check that was in their escrow account over to the bank, and the bank slid me the keys. I'm making it real simple.
Sure.
Then I walked into the next room and I signed some paperwork. My buyer signed paperwork. She slid the $24,000 check over to me. It cost me $1,000 to close it. Big deal. She sent the $24,000 check over to me, and I slid the keys over to him. And he walked out, rehabbed the house, and then I helped him put the buyer in it, and I did the financing. I did the mortgage on it because that's what I did for them. And he made, I don't know, $20,000 profit, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000. I don't remember. It's been a long. I remember I made $24,000, and I went and cashed the check. And that's when I learned that the IRS gets notified when you cash something over $10,000. So, I learned a lesson. I learned that I did it with no money, and then I built on that, and I realized the number one thing, Jake, that was stopping me was I didn't think I had the money. And if you're sitting out there right now and you've heard the pitch before, you can buy real estate with no money, you can. You really can. And I go through every single step.
Right, and this is a crucial thing, too, because people need to understand this. If you're stopped, if you're stymied, if you're sitting there saying, all of this stuff sounds great, Jake and Cliff, but I can't do it because I don't have any money.
Yes, you can.
That's going to sink you.
Yeah.
Unless you have someone who can actually explain to you where to find the money. And we can.
And there's hurdles. And I teach you how to be a track star. If you saw me actually run hurdles, it would be like that funny video where the guy just runs into every one of them. But when it comes to real estate,
doesn't quit though. He doesn't quit, does he?
He doesn't quit, and he gets to the other side.
Right.
And that was my life 25 years ago. Back, I think it's 25 years-ish, 20-something. I'm kind of not liking to admit how long. That means I'm getting older. But in 1991, 92, when I started doing this, I didn't know I couldn't do what I was doing, because that's what everybody said. Oh, Cliff, you can't do that. But yet I was doing it. And then, a problem would come along and we'd sit down, and it wasn't just me. There was a whole team of us. It was me and my now ex-wife and my her family. We were all putting, and I had a mortgage guy that was doing all the mortgage work, and we all put our heads together, and the thing was come up with the solution. And everybody comes up with, in the industry, they come up with the obstacles, the hurdles. And they're like, okay, well, it looks like this is going really smooth, but let's put this hurdle in the way. You know what I mean? So when you understand what the hurdles are and how to overcome them, that is when you are getting results, when you overcome them. And that's what I take all the 25 years of doing that, and I put it all together, and I make what? I make it easy for you to do that. So when you go to realestateexpertonline.com, realestateexpertonline.com, that's realestateexpertonline.com. And if you need to write,
we ought to make a jingle out of that.
realestateexpertonline.com. Yeah, I mean, because everybody knows you can save 15% on your insurance at Geico, right?
That's right.
Free plug for Geico. But realestateexpertonline.com is going to show you exactly what you need to do, when you need to do it, how you need to do it, and hey, this is going to happen, and it's going to be a hurdle to you putting the deal together. So here's what you do when that happens. You know, and I know for a fact that a lot of people don't teach that.
This would have been like a godsend to me at the time, and it stopped me because I knew that I did not know this, and I knew that the material that I had purchased did not say that, and I knew that there was nobody that I could go to who could explain this to me, and this is so critical, Cliff, as I've talked about before, and as I'm sure you agree. You've got to have someone who explains these things so you're not in a situation where you're paralyzed because of, what do I do next itis.
Yeah. Well,
that's an inflammation of the what do I do next? And you didn't know that.
And we've only got a minute left.
We're out of time again.
You and I both know.
We haven't even gotten started.
Listen, we both particularly know of a deal that a person didn't do that I kind of put silver plate on the table, and it was $1 million profit, and the person that I sold it to actually made $3 million because that other person didn't think they could do it, and yet they could have. So just think of that, guys. When you're sitting there, realestateexpertonline.com. Go there right now. Go sign up for the online training. Go through the training. Buy the program today within the next 24 hours, and you will be entered in to win a $4,000 program. So with that, come back next week. We'll see you here at the Real Estate Expert Online Radio Show.
Bye-bye, everybody.
You've been listening to the Real Estate Expert Online Radio Show with Jake and Cliff. The real estate investing revolution has only just begun. Want more information on your own personal revolution? Go to realestateexpertonline.com or call 1-800-396-1501. The owners of the show, this station, or any of its affiliates want you to know that real estate investing is risky. You could lose your entire investment. Topics and opinions expressed in the show are for informational and entertainment purposes, not professional advice or even factual reporting. The owners disclaim any responsibility to supplement, correct, or modify the content of any broadcast. Nothing in this content shall be construed to create an agreement, waive this disclaimer, encourage evasion or disobedience to any law, or constitute a submission to jurisdiction in any state or country. Persons or entities referred to are entirely fictional. No reference to an actual person or entity is intended, but is entirely coincidental.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050.